we had a very successful meeting talking about MCPs, and there's a I think in the community, people have an argument to say whether MCP matters or not, right? That's but this is a, a tweet from Google CEO. It was not April Fool's, it was the day before that, so he's not joking, So to MCP or not to MCP, that's the question, right? And I think a lot of us answered. So that's MCP is the way to go. But before we do that, I'll take a step back because one of the very interesting and very relevant products that recently got released was from Docker, and Docker was one of the sponsors of that event. So I want to spend a couple minutes to talk about this Docker product, and I also think that's really relevant to the issues that Haidai talked about, right? So namely, that's in most cases, the current setup of the MCP server is not secure. It could, steal your private key or overwrite your file system or do a lot of bad things in your system. So, so it is important to figure out a way to run MCP servers in a container, right? Either in Docker or in Watson, right? In whatever the way, that's your favorite container environment. But I want to make a case for WASM. So let's take a step back and see what Docker has released today, or maybe yesterday, but it's definitely this week, right? So in the world of running local AI, there has always, people were joking about the impossible triangle. So this, figure is the impossible triangle. It's also called the Penrose triangle. I think it's Roger Penrose, drew this first, right? So it's an optical illusion, but it says something that is three things can't be all true. You can't have all three things together, namely Docker, Mac, and LLM. Meaning that's is it possible to run Docker? You can have Docker and LLM, but you can't run on the Mac GPU. Okay, you can only run very slowly on the Mac CPU. You can have Docker on the Mac, but in Docker on the Mac, it's difficult to run the LLM because there's no GPU access. So there has always been the challenge of using a containerized environment to run large language model, to run AI model in general, right? So what Docker has released yesterday was very interesting. It's called Docker Model Runner. If you so basically you just upgrade your Docker desktop. A lot of us, I think most of us have Docker users, and we have Docker desktop. Just upgrade it to the latest version, and you go to the features in development, and then you can check the enable Docker model runner, and that's it. You could give it port number so that it can expose the API, right? So once you do that, you are done. That's your Docker now become Olama. Your Docker now becomes now magically gain the capability to run large language model, just to run large language model in on GPUs, especially on the Mac, right? So the way to do it is actually very simple. If you have used Docker at all, or if you have used Olama in the past, it is something very simple. That's so first you use Docker model pool, and you gave it an image name. It would pull the image from the so in this case, Llama 3.21b, and it's quantized as 8-bit, right? So you pull this model, you download this model onto your local machine, and you say Docker model run this. Okay, so Docker run instead of Docker run, you say Docker model run this image, this model image. It will run this model, and now you have a CLI interface where you can have a conversation with it. Once you had the conversation, you can say bye. You can leave the CLI. So basically, you have a chat interface right there on your terminal, and you can also access it through API. So here you see, if you go back, I gave it a port number, 12434, right? So you can access the port number localhost 12434 and use V1 chat completion. So that's the OpenAI, URL format, right? And give it the OpenAI JSON message. That's basically tells it, which model to use and what messages to use. That's you would get a response by querying this API with Docker running on your local machine. So that's if you look at that, that's very similar to say how Olama works, right? That's except you don't have to download Olama. You don't need to install anything because you already have Docker on your machine. So with that, you are able to run all the popular models that's being released, right?